Hello everyone, we have a problem here and it reads: two bodies A and B with masses 48 kilograms and 16 kilograms are moving at 50 meters per second and 20 meters per second respectively in opposite direction. Undergo a head-on collision such that after the collision A continues to move in the same direction at 15 meters per second. Calculate the velocity with which B moves after collision. Is the collision elastic or inelastic? So from the question, we are asked to find the final velocity of B after collision, and also to determine whether the collision is elastic or inelastic. That is what we are going to determine. So, solution: if I should draw the situation before collision, let's say we have body A and we have body B here. Body A is 48 kilograms. It is initially moving at 50 meters per second. It had a head-on collision with a body that was moving in the opposite direction, which is body B, of mass 16 kilograms, moving at 20 meters per second. But then after collision, what happens? A maintained its direction, okay? And it was moving at a velocity of 15 meters per second. So we are asked to find the velocity of B, VB, of mass 16 kilograms. Okay, so this was the situation before collision, and this is the situation after collision. Now, what I can understand from this is, if we have a positive answer for the final velocity for B, the direction will be indicated like this. It means that it is moving towards the right. Okay, but if the answer is negative, then this is how we're going to indicate the direction. Okay, it means it's moving towards the left. But for now, it is not certain. So that is why I'm going to leave it just like this and do the calculation. Then after the calculation, we can be able to know the direction of B after collision. Using the principle of conservation of linear momentum, which states that the total momentum before collision is equal to the total momentum after collision. So the total momentum before collision will be given by the mass of A multiplied by the initial velocity of A plus the momentum for B before collision will be the mass of B, the initial velocity of B. This must be equal to the final momentum for body A will be mass of A, final velocity of A, plus the final momentum for body B will be mass of B, the final velocity of B. So if we should substitute the values, mass of A is 48 kilograms multiplied by its initial velocity, which is 50, plus the mass of B is 16, to be multiplied by the velocity of B. It was in the negative direction, it will be negative 20. This is equal to the mass of A is 48 multiplied by 15 plus the mass of B is 16 multiplied by the final velocity of B. So 48 times 50 is 2,400. 16 times negative 20 will give negative 320. This is equal to 48 times 15 is 720 plus 16 times VB is 16 VB. So 2,400 minus 320 gives 2080. This is equals to 720 plus 16 VB. We're going to have 2080 minus 720 is equals to 16 VB. That gives 1360 is equals to 16 VB. If I want to find VB, I will divide both sides by 16, both sides by 16. Then VB is equal to 1360 divided by 16, and that gives 85 meters per second. So the final velocity for B is 85 meters per second. So because the final velocity of B is positive, it means that its direction is towards the right. So it is positive. Okay. So what that actually means is that B has reversed its direction. It was initially moving in the negative direction, but after collision, it has reversed its direction. So moving on to the next question, which is to determine whether the collision is elastic or inelastic. To be able to know that, we first have to determine the total kinetic energies. That is the total kinetic energy before collision and the total kinetic energy after collision. Then we will be able to determine whether the collision is elastic or inelastic. Total kinetic energy before collision can be determined using the formula half the mass of A, the initial velocity of A squared, plus half the mass of B, the initial velocity of B squared. So this will be half multiplied by the mass of A is 48 kilograms multiplied by the initial velocity is 50, then we square that, plus half the mass of B is 16 multiplied by the initial velocity. B was moving in the negative direction, so it will be negative 20, then square that. So that will be half multiplied by 48 multiplied by 50 squared. We get 60,000 as the kinetic energy for body A before collision, plus half multiplied by 16 multiplied by negative 20 squared. That gives 3,200, which is the kinetic energy of body B before collision. If you add the two together, that will give you 63,200 joules as the total kinetic energy before collision. So let's move on to find the total kinetic energy after collision. The total kinetic energy after collision. The formula is half the mass of A, the final velocity of A squared, plus half mass of B, the final velocity of B squared. So that will be half mass of A is 48 multiplied by the final velocity of A is 15, so that will be squared, plus half the mass of B is 16 kilograms multiplied by the final velocity of B. We calculated that as 85, so we square that. Half multiplied by 48 multiplied by 15 squared will have 5,400 plus half multiplied by 60 multiplied by 85 squared, that will be 57,800. If you should add them together, you have 63,200 joules. If you should compare the total kinetic energy before collision with the total kinetic energy after collision, you find that they are the same. This is what we mean by kinetic energy being conserved. So kinetic energy is conserved. A collision in which kinetic energy is conserved is called elastic collision. Elastic collision. For elastic collision, the total kinetic energy before collision is equal to the total kinetic energy after collision, which means that kinetic energy is conserved, which means that there was no loss in kinetic energy due to collision. So, to answer the question, because there is no loss in kinetic energy during the collision, this type of collision is an elastic collision. That is all for today. If you think that this video is useful and it has helped you to understand collision, there would be more of these videos on different topics in physics and mathematics. So I would request you to subscribe to this channel. If at all you have not subscribed yet, you can write in the comment sections about your thoughts. If at all you have any suggestion regarding the videos that I upload, you can write or send me an email. Thank you very much.